Hello and welcome to my predictions video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I didn't do a video last week just because I ran out of time. I did actually record one, but I didn't have time to edit it because I've added some new features to my predictions. So that is why there was no predictions last week. But thank you so much for tuning into this one. I hope you enjoy. There are finally 10 rounds of Premier League fixtures since the restart. There's only been 8. That was last week, of course, because Manchester United and Manchester City both were involved in Europe. Manchester City in the Champions League, of course, and Manchester United in the Europa League. Both lost and didn't win the trophies. The first one was Manchester City, who got knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League to Lyon, and Manchester United lost to Sevilla in the semi-finals of the Europa League to be knocked out by the eventual winners. So, 10 brilliant rounds. And we had a great round last time. There were some really interesting games and some great performances. I was really impressed by Arsenal. Thought they looked good. I was really impressed by Leeds as well. So it'll be interesting to see how those sides get on. So we start off on Saturday morning. So there are games spread out on Saturday, Sunday and Monday like usual. And this is going to be continued until fans are allowed back in the stadium, which looks like it's going to be October. But I am a little bit concerned they will move it back just because of the rise in COVID-19 cases in England. So that is something that might happen, which will be devastating to the clubs like Accrington and lower down in the National League North and South, in the National League and League 2, such as Exeter. It'll be devastating for them because they really need those fans, but it won't really make a difference to the Premier League, in my opinion. Anyway, the first game is Everton versus West Brom. So Everton will be without several players, no really big names. Delph will be out through injury, as will Gababin, Mason Holgate and Cenk Tosun. Kenneth Zohore will be out for West Brom. This game is kicking off at 12:30 and will be live on BT Sport 1, BT Sport Extra 1 if you wanted no crowd, and BT Sport Ultimate if you wanted to watch in high definition, or ultra high definition rather. So it is live at 12:30 kickoff. So they both played, and they both played in midweek as well due to the involvement in the Carabao Cup, or the EFL Cup, depending on how you prefer to pronounce it, with the sponsor or without the sponsor. And West Brom, they played Leicester and they lost 3-0. And I watched this game. I did a live stream on my channel for this game, and I thought West Brom were very poor, in my opinion. I think West Brom will struggle, but I did say they will. I think they will stay up, but I do think they will really struggle. Castagna got the opening goal for Leicester, and then 2 penalties from Jamie Vardy wrapped up the 3-0 win for Leicester. One of the concerns was the second half for West Brom in particular. 2 attempts at goal and no attempts on target, and just 1 attempt on target all game from West Brom, which is a cause for concern. However, what we do need to bear in mind is that the season transfer window for the summer does not stop until October, so they do have some time. If they felt like they need to invest somewhere else, they've already signed Callum Robinson on a permanent deal. Maybe they could do some business elsewhere. Next up, we have Everton, who have started with 2 wins this season, and what a great win to start the season. Tottenham Hotspur away, and they come back with a 1-0 victory. Calvert-Lewin with a header from a Digne free kick. Really nice goal. I was really impressed with what I saw from some of these players. They brought in Decore, they brought in Allen, they brought in Rodriguez over the summer, and James Rodriguez looks great. What a great signing that is. Allen looks good as well. He's very experienced, and Decore has been in the Premier League, so he has that Premier League aura about him. So all really good signings. Richarlison is a player that can go on and do very well, as is Digne and Mean, and potentially Pickford as well, depending on your opinion of him. He can get better. They've got Gomez as well, who is also very good. So they're starting to make quite a good team, and they've brought players that can take them to the next level. The likes of James Rodriguez and Allen could be those players, particularly James Rodriguez, who is so exciting to watch. Hasn't happened for him in the last few seasons, but he was so good at the World Cup, and he's had good spells at Bayern Munich as well, so that is something to bear in mind. This game is going to be at Goodison Park, once again in front of no spectators due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm going to go for Everton to get the win here and continue their 100% start to the season under Carlo Ancelotti. I'm going for a 2-0, maybe a 3-0. I think I'm going to go 3-0 to Everton. I think Everton will really stamp their authority on West Brom tomorrow morning and really make the difference at Goodison Park. So I really do fancy Everton. I just want to say that Everton and West Brom both played in the Carabao Cup. West Brom beat Harrogate 3-0, who are newly promoted to the Football League, and Everton beat Salford 3-0, who are playing in League 2 also. So there is one 3 o'clock game, and that game is between Leeds United and Fulham, two sides that got promoted last season. Leeds finishing champions, of course, in the Championship, and Fulham doing it through the playoffs, beating Brentford. This game is live on BT Sport 1, Extra 1 and Ultimate. Same scenario there. Extra 1 is no sound and Ultimate is for 4K Ultra HD viewers. So this is how things have gone for both sides. So Fulham played Arsenal on the opening day, and once again, similar to West Brom, I was not impressed, and I do feel that they will struggle, and they lost 3-0 in that game. It was 3 goals, 1 goal from Lacazette, 1 goal from Gabriel, who I thought was very impressive, and 1 goal from Aubameyang. So they lost 3-0, but they did bounce back with a 1-0 win over Ipswich in the Carabao Cup. Leeds have lost both games so far this season. We start off with the classic that happened on the opening day between Liverpool and Leeds United. So they lost 4-3, but what a performance. They really pressed high, they scored a lot of goals, and they scored quality goals as well. Harrison's goal was absolutely brilliant. Bamford's was a bit lucky after a mistake from Virgil van Dijk, and then Klick's goal was also very good. However, they did concede 2 penalties, and they did look quite sloppy at the back. I'm not expecting Leeds to go down or be struggling, in my opinion. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be about mid-table. I'm not expecting them to break into the top 10, but I think they'll be around mid-table. So that is what I am predicting for Leeds United. And then midweek, they lost to Hull on penalties, I believe, and they opened the scoring Hull through Malik Wilks, so I think it was a former Leeds Academy player. And then right at the end, Alioski equalised for Leeds, and Leeds made a lot of changes for this game, so bear it in mind. But the missed penalty was by Jamie Shackleton that made a difference, and Leeds went out and Hull went through, so brilliant win for Hull. I think at Ellen Road, I'm going to go for Leeds to win this game. I'm going to go 2-1 to Leeds to get their first win of the season under Marcelo Bielsa, and I feel like they will be able to really make a impact on the Premier League. I'm expecting them to take some points off some of the big sides this season, so I'm expecting Leeds to be able to beat Fulham. I'm going to go 2-1 in Leeds' favour. The next game is a 5:30 kickoff between Manchester United and Crystal Palace, which is live on Sky, which is a Sky Sports Premier League, Sky Sports main event, and if you want to watch an Ultra HD, it's also available as well if you have that option. So Manchester United will be without a couple of players. Those players are Phil Jones and Twanzebe. Crystal Palace also have some players injured: Benteke, Gary Cahill, Nathan Ferguson, who signed in the summer from West Brom, James Tompkins, Patrick Van Arnholt and Connor Wickham. So starting the season then for Manchester United, they are yet to kick off the Premier League season due to their involvement in the Europa League last month. However, they have had played one friendly, and that friendly was against Aston Villa, and they lost 1-0. I think Ollie Watkins scored the only goal in that game. Crystal Palace have had 1 victory and 1 defeat in the games they have played this season. The first game was against Southampton, and Wilfried Zaha scored the only goal of the game. There was a goal disallowed at the end of the game as well for Crystal Palace, but Wilfried Zaha was enough to get the 3 points for Crystal Palace. They start off the season very well. After a very slow end to the season, they start off the season very well, the new season. They then played Bournemouth in the Carabao Cup, and it went down to penalties, and they lost on penalties to Bournemouth, who are now in the Championship, of course, who go on to place Manchester City, who are the reigning holders of the Carabao Cup. So it's not uncommon for Crystal Palace to get a result against some of the big sides. They have beaten Manchester United at Manchester United. They have also beaten Manchester City at Manchester City at the Etihad. I was at that game, and it's not uncommon. But this is going to be very tough. Manchester United's form since the turn of the restart has been very good, and that is something that I'm expecting to continue. They have not really done too much transfer business. They've brought in Van der Beek, and he is a very, very much a player I really like. I really thought he looked very, very good when Ajax got to the semi-finals of the Champions League, and I expected him to make a move sooner. However, that did not happen, but now it has. So that is something to bear in mind. Personally, I think that Manchester United will get the win. I know that's a boring result. I'm going to go 1-0 to Manchester United. I'm not going to go crazy because I know Palace can put up a performance against these sides. So that is something to bear in mind. But I'm just going to go for Manchester United to scrape the win. The final game on Saturday is Arsenal versus West Ham. It's an all-London derby. And under Mikel Arteta, Arsenal have done very, very well. This game is live on Sky once again. Premier League main event and Ultra HD, as the same with Manchester United and Crystal Palace. So Arsenal then have played one game so far this season, which was the 3-0 win over Fulham. They come into the Carabao Cup next round and will be playing Leicester City. Lacazette, Gabriel and Aubameyang with the goals. That Aubameyang goal was very, very, very nice as well. I was really impressed with Gabriel. I thought he looked good. Willian got a couple of assists. He was involved in all the goals. So that is something to bear in mind as well. Then we go to West Ham, who looked very poor against Newcastle and could be one of the sides that struggle this season. I'm expecting them to struggle. They haven't really signed anyone of note, and they have lost Dingana. But that's not a big loss because he wasn't involved there last season. But there was a lot of anger that they lost one of their young up-and-coming players, which I can totally understand, because he could go on and do much better than moving to West Brom, and he could have done that at West Ham. It's a very, very strange move, but they did lose. But they have bounced back after a 3-0 win over Charlton. Hilaire scoring twice, and Felipe Anderson, who I'm a really, really big fan of, scored the third and final goal in that game for West Ham to continue their run in the Carabao Cup. So Arsenal are currently top of the league, which is something that is interesting because Arsenal haven't been top of the league for a while, but that is very, very good for Arsenal. So I'm going to go for Arsenal in this one. I'm going to go for them to continue their 100% start to the Premier League season. Obviously, they've only played one game, but I'm expecting them to win this game. I'm going to go 3-0 to Arsenal. Another 3-0. I'm expecting them to be comfortable over West Ham and be able to get the victory fairly straightforward. However, West Ham could throw up a surprise, but I just fancy Arsenal in this one, 3-0 to Arsenal. We have another 4 games on Sunday, and one of them is one of the games of the season every season. The first game up, though, is Southampton versus Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham are linked with some interesting players, one of which is Gareth Bale, which is going to be a very, very, very interesting signing. However, I did read that he isn't up to fitness due to not playing for ages for Real Madrid. So that is something to bear in mind. So even if he signed, he probably wouldn't be registered in time anyway, but he definitely will be playing in this game, and that is something to bear in mind. Southampton actually sold Gareth Bale to Tottenham. They had a start to the season where they lost to Crystal Palace, and they also lost to Brentford in the EFL Cup 2-0 at home. Tottenham have also played 2 games, so one of those is in the Europa League. They got a 2-1 win out in Russia, and they also lost to Everton 1-0, as we've already covered. In that game in Russia, they had 2 goals, one from Harry Kane and one from Ndombele after they fell behind. So they got a win, and they want to surely progress in this tournament because Mourinho is all about winning trophies. He doesn't care if it's a Community Shield or the Champions League. He wants to win every trophy, which is something that I really like about Mourinho, and he takes every competition fairly seriously, which is great to see. And Europa League could be a way for Tottenham to get back into the Champions League if they're falling behind in the league. So that is something to really keep an eye on, and I really do fancy Tottenham to go quite hard in the Europa League. But once again, there will be stiff competition from other countries, and that is something to remember. So both teams lost, so they are 14th, 15th in the league. Not that it matters because it's so early on. Last time these two met, Tottenham came out 3-2 winners in the FA Cup replay after a 1-1 draw. So that is something to bear in mind. Personally, I think Tottenham will get the win here. I think Tottenham will be able to overcome Southampton, even though a few years ago I think Southampton did beat Tottenham at home. So that is something to remember. But I'm going to go for Tottenham. I'm going to go 1-0 to Tottenham and them to be able to get the victory and move on from that opening day defeat against Everton. Next, we have Newcastle versus Brighton. So Newcastle have signed some players, including Fraser, including Wilson, and of course Jamal Lewis as well. So they have signed some interesting players, Jamal Lewis in particular, who could go on and do very, very well in his career, and two players from Bournemouth, two of Bournemouth's best players as well. Brighton have signed a couple of players as well, including Adam Lallana, who is picked up a knock and might not be involved in this game. Both sides have played 2 fixtures each so far this season. West Ham were the opening side against Newcastle, and they won that game 2-0. And it was Jeff Hendrick and Wilson getting the goals for Newcastle in that game at the London Stadium. They followed up with a 1-0 victory over Blackburn, Ryan Fraser scoring the only goal of the game in the EFL Cup. Next we have Brighton versus Chelsea, and that was the opening fixture for Brighton, and lost that game 3-1. Penalty from Jorginho, and then Trossard got the equaliser, but 2 goals fairly quickly won the game for Chelsea. Brighton faced Portsmouth last night in their EFL Cup game, and they won 4-0, including a brilliant goal from Jahanbakhsh. I did have that on in the background, and it was a very, very, very good goal. So that will be a big boost of confidence, not only winning a game, but scoring 4 goals against Portsmouth, who I know are in the lower league, but it's all good practice. Brighton, I'm expecting to really, really struggle this season. I tipped them to go down, so that is something to bear in mind. And for that reason, and the reason that Newcastle have won both of their games so far this season, I'm going to go for Newcastle to get the victory against Brighton. I'm going to go 2-1 to Newcastle in that fixture. The next game up is the big one, Chelsea versus Liverpool. And Chelsea have done a lot of business this season. They've brought in Thiago Silva, they've brought in Maitland Sarr, they've brought in Ben Chilwell, they've brought in Kai Havertz, they've brought in Timo Werner, they've brought in Ziyech. They've brought in so many players, and they're also talking about bringing in the goalkeeper from Mendy as well. So that is something to consider. Interesting to see how all these players get on, and really can they mould and mix into the squad and gel very, very quickly. Because if they can, maybe they could do something very, very special this year, Chelsea. Liverpool have played 1 game so far this season and won 4-3 against Leeds. Despite Leeds equalising 3 times in this game, Liverpool eventually got the win thanks to a hat-trick from Mohamed Salah. Salah scored the opening goal from the penalty spot, and then an equaliser from Harrison. Van Dijk scored a header and made it 2-1. Salah made it 3-2 with a great finish from just inside the box, and then right at the death, 2 minutes from time, Salah scored another penalty to make it 4-3. So very, very good win for Liverpool. However, I did sort of get the feeling that they were a bit shaky at the back, so it'd be interesting to see how Klopp sorts that out, and whether he will be able to sort that out or not, and what he does to make things different. They looked a bit shaky on the opening day against Norwich at the back, so it's not cause for concern. It is quite surprising that they conceded 3 goals from 3 shots on target. That is very, very strange for a Liverpool side who have such a good defensive record since Van Dijk entered the fray. Chelsea then have just played the 1 game, as I mentioned earlier, against Brighton, and the goals come from Jorginho, Reece James with a lovely goal, and then Kurt Zouma. I think that was a deflected goal, made it 3-1, and that is how it finished. I feel like Chelsea will be very, very happy with that result. I'm going to go for a shock here. I'm going to go for Chelsea to win this game. It's not really a shock because obviously they're 2 big sides, but Liverpool was so good last season, you'd expect them to beat everyone. I'm going to go for Chelsea to get the win. I'm going to go 3-1 to Chelsea. I'm going to go for Chelsea to win. I don't know why, I just fancy Chelsea to win this game. I'm going to go 3-1 to Chelsea, and picking up a very, very good win against the Liverpool side, who are bound to be in the top 3, the top 2 this season. So that is something to bear in mind. This could be a very, very, very interesting game, which I will be looking forward to watching. The final game on Sunday is Leicester City versus Burnley. This game is a 7 o'clock kickoff, and this is live on BBC One. So that is one of the free games for you this month. So Leicester started off the season with a 3-0 victory over West Brom, and they didn't play in the Carabao Cup due to their involvement in Europe this season, so missed the second round, and will be coming in the third round and playing Arsenal, who are going to be very, very, very tough opposition. A 3-0 win was very good. Castagna getting the opening goal, who looked very, very, very impressive in my opinion, and then 2 penalties from Vardy sealed the victory. Looked very good. Burnley, they have only played 1 game so far this season due to the fact that they were due to face on the Manchester clubs, and they haven't done that obviously because of their involvement. So they have only faced Sheffield United this season in the Carabao Cup. This game went to penalties after McGoldrick's goal was counted out by Vidra, and that is how it remained until the final whistle. So McBurney for Sheffield United missed the second penalty, and Burnley scored all of their penalties. Robbie Brady scoring the final one to go through in that one. So Burnley start off the season with a win on penalties. Leicester City, I'm expecting to win this game. I feel like they've got last season behind them after that terrible end to the season where they just dropped out of the Champions League on the final day for Manchester United to take over, which must be really, really disappointing. However, I'm expecting Leicester to be sort of around Europe this season under Brendan Rodgers. I really do think Brendan Rodgers is doing a great job at Leicester City. What a great appointment he was. There was a lot of uproar that he left Celtic to go to Leicester, but I feel like he's doing a great job. So very, very well done to him. So I'm going to go for Leicester to win this game. I'm going to go 2-1 to Leicester. Leicester just getting the victory against Burnley, who are always a very, very tough opposition. There are 2 games on Monday night, and both games are live on Sky Sports Premier League, Main Event and Ultra HD. First is Aston Villa versus Sheffield United. Aston Villa are one of those sides that did not play last weekend due to the Manchester clubs being involved in Europe. They have had 1 game so far this season and have beat Burton 3-1. New signing Ollie Watkins equalised after Daniel opened the scoring for Burton. And then 2 goals right at the end, one from Grealish and one from Keenan Davis, made it 3-1 to Aston Villa. So a good win to Aston Villa. They did lose their last season, I think, under Steve Bruce. 2 games for Sheffield United so far this season and 2 defeats. The first was against Wolves, and it was 2 really quick goals from Wolves at the start of this game. Jimenez opened the scoring, and then Saiz made it 2-0 after 6 minutes, and that is how it remained for the entire game. Then they had Burnley, as we've just mentioned, and they lost on penalties. McBurney missing the important penalty, and Burnley scoring all of their penalties as well. So that meant Sheffield United are now out of the Carabao Cup. However, they did go out a couple of years ago quite early. I think they lost to Sunderland when they went up from the Championship. So I'm expecting a tight game between these two sides. I'm expecting to be involved in the bottom half of the table this season. Despite Sheffield United's very, very impressive season last season, I'm expecting them to struggle a lot more this season. Right, so I'm going to go for Villa to win this one. They have beaten Manchester United in the friendly. They've beaten Burton, so they've got a bit of confidence. And I'm going to go for Aston Villa here. I'm going to go 2-0 to Aston Villa. Final game is Wolves versus Manchester City. So a couple of years ago, this was a interesting game because there was a handball by Willy Bolly in the 1-1 draw that led to Wolves taking the lead, and they ended up drawing this game. Laporte scoring the equaliser, and this was before VAR, so that goal wasn't overturned. So the next season, Wolves beat Manchester City in that game. I think it finished 3-2. Yeah, 3-2 to Wolves. So Wolves have had the upper hand on Manchester City in the last few games, and they also beat them in October last year as well, 2-0 at the Etihad. So they did a double over Manchester City, which is incredible under Pep Guardiola. So we'll have a look at the head-to-head and how teams have been getting on against each side. So Manchester City haven't played any games so far this season after losing to Lyon, so they will be fresh or unmatch fit, depending on how you look at it. They have brought in Nathan Ake and they have brought in Ferran Torres as well. I'm expecting them to do more business before the window shuts. Wolves have played 2 games so far this season, and we have already covered the game against Sheffield United with the 2 early goals, and they've also faced Stoke and lost 1-0 in that game. Brown scoring only goal 4 minutes from time to win the game for Stoke. A great win for Stoke. So Manchester City want to win the title this season, so they have to get off to a good start. However, this is going to be a very, very, very tight game, and there's not going to be a lot between it. So I'm going to go for a draw here. I'm going to go for Manchester City to slip up on the opening day. I'm going to go Wolves 1, Manchester City 1. So that is the fixtures for week 2. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, of course, if you are new. I would really, really appreciate it. If you haven't already, feel free to put your predictions in the comments. There will be all the fixtures in a description, so feel free to go and copy that and put it in, and feel free to give me your predictions. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to hear how everyone thinks these games go. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, once again, leave a like. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Mike, and I will see you soon.